What's going on, y'all? My name is Duran Shields, and thank you for tuning in to another movie review. This time, I'll be reviewing Obsession, directed by Curry Barker. Now, this is Curry Barker's directorial debut, and I think this is actually a good movie for a debut, but I do have some criticisms. But with no further ado, let me get into my review of Obsession. After breaking the mysterious one-wish willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers some desires come at a dark, sinister price. All right, this is actually a movie by a first-time director, Curry Barker. He wrote and directed this movie. It's starring Michael Johnston and Indy Navarrete, two actors that I haven't seen before this. But with that being said, this is a pretty straightforward or simple story. We got Baron, played by Michael Johnston. He's kind of like a angsty, I think they're like teenage, like post-high school, but not quite college age. But he's got feelings for Nikki's character, played by Indy Navarrete. But he has trouble mustering up the courage to tell Nikki how he actually feels. And the first thing that we get is him practicing the speech that he's going to give to, Nikki eventually or hopefully, with his friend Ian and another girl. I don't even know if that was a main character. After the scene of him practicing his speech to Nikki, eventually he goes home and finds his cat has died laying on the floor. Eventually he gets a phone call from Nikki and he lets her know that he probably won't make it to, the trivia night or whatever because he got stuff to do, but she convinces him to come anyway. But while they're on the phone, she drops her crystal necklace down the drain and loses it. So eventually Baron goes to the store to try to get her another crystal necklace, but instead decides to buy what's called a one-wish willow. Later, after trivia night, Baron is taking Nikki home and he has his opportunity to let her know how he feels, but he can't do it. He doesn't want to give her the one wish willow thing because he's just second guessing his whole approach or whatever. And then as he's like disappointed in himself that he didn't capitalize on the opportunity to tell her, he brings out the one wish willow and kind of like sarcastically says, "I wish Nikki loved me more than anything in the world." I think is how he phrased it. And he breaks it like it says. You say a wish and then you break the one wish willow. So he says, "I wish Nikki loved me more than anything in the world." He breaks the one wish willow and immediately she's standing up on the porch with like backlighting. So you just almost see her like as a silhouette. They do that a lot in this movie, the silhouette thing, but I'll get to that. Yeah, and then from there it just kind of escalates. So she's like all of a sudden madly in love with him. But there's some hints of like maybe some possession or something deeper going on with that. And off we go into the story of Obsession. Now, I want to go into the acting. Indy Navarrete kind of is not the main character at first, at least, but eventually she kind of becomes the main character. And if nothing else, she carries the movie like 100%. The Baron character is like necessary, but she is as far as the acting performance, this script calls for the most from the Nikki character. She has to kind of go into the whole madly in love thing. But yeah, she did a really good job. I mean, I think that's probably one of my biggest positive takeaways from the movie was that she really committed to the role. I think that's more of what it is than anything. She really didn't pull any punches as far as her performance and the physical performance, and all the screaming and all the crazy stuff, all the crazy antics and hijinks or whatever you want to call it. I guess more than hijinks eventually, but she really knocked it out of the park as far as that character and what that script called for as far as being a believably crazy character. Message is a simple one. It's just essentially a be careful what you wish for type of thing. Even in the log line it said basically you got exactly what you wish for, but it comes with a little bit of a darker twist. So that's about it. Pacing wise, I do think the movie dragged a lot. Even the very first scene of him practicing his speech to Nikki, I feel like that took a long time. And then all of a sudden we speed past the Nikki and Baron characters kind of, forming their relationship and actually dating and all that. It's like a quick montage. And then eventually we'll be like slowed down again. So I feel like the pacing is really up and down. And I felt like the dating montage would have been worth at least slowing down a little bit to give us a little bit more of a foundation of that romance. Like let it be a little bit more believable. She did the whole crazy memorial for the cat, the dead cat, by the way, got him out of the trash and did a memorial in the kitchen on the floor for Baron because she loves him so much, I guess. And eventually they date after that. So that's, I don't understand that sequence. And then on top of that, we get it as a montage. So we don't really get any depth in that part, which I feel like is kind of a pertinent or important part. As far as cinematography, I did like the way the movie looked. It kind of had that kind of drab or like not gloomy, but like dank and moody lighting throughout for the most part. A lot of, like I said, a lot of backlighting on the Nikki character. They did it at least like 4 or 5 times. And I kind of take some points away because that is a very like tropey thing to do, especially in horror, to backlight a person and show their silhouette, or like they showed her in the corner, like you can kind of see her in shadows. It kind of reminded me of Hereditary, where you got like a kind of a wide shot and then you look a little longer and you see somebody standing there the whole time. So yeah, I do think that there's some tropes throughout that they use. Even the very first scene of like, they show Baron like looking into the camera and like pouring his heart out. I knew that he wasn't actually talking to the girl that he wanted to talk to, and that was just like a practice thing. But it took a while for them to reveal that. But like I said, a tropey thing that has been done in cinema in general for a long time. So I didn't really care for that scene, and it's the first scene in the movie. The ending, spoiler alert for a lot of stuff from here on out. The ending, I saw it coming from a mile away. Like once we've gotten all this crazy escalation, so I guess I'll talk about a little bit of that. So it started off with her doing the memorial for the dead cat. Eventually, she is like preparing him a lunch, and he realizes that she's cooked and like prepared as a sandwich the dead cat. Like he's eating the dead cat, which I don't understand. Like there's a lot of plot holes in this movie to me. Or just things that like it could have been explained to make it make more sense, but it wasn't. Therefore, it makes very little sense and leaves you confused. Like the dead cat thing. I don't understand. If he wishes for her to be more in love with him than anything, then why did she do that? Like that made no sense, and it didn't connect to the love thing for me. I don't understand it. Even the memorial for the cat, I didn't understand that part. The more extreme stuff that she, or like jealousy rooted stuff later on, I get that because it's like she doesn't want anybody else to have him, whatever. But like feeding him his own dead cat, I don't understand where that came from. I feel like there's times where the movie just wants to be crazy just to be crazy, and it doesn't really connect to the premise of the movie. So I think plenty of people like this movie. This has gotten more and more successful in the following weeks since it debuted, which is very rare. But yeah, it's so much stuff that I feel like didn't connect to the actual premise that we get in the movie. Even her standing there when he goes to work and just like, I think defecating and peeing on herself the whole time and not moving until he comes back. Like it was just crazy just to be crazy. Just to be like, I think a spectacle and therefore I guess be entertaining. But I felt like it was kind of just lazy. I feel like the movie is essentially just premise and then escalation. There's not really much depth to the characters per se or development of the characters. So yeah, but the ending I saw coming a mile away. Throughout the movie, we were seeing that she's kind of like being possessed by the wish that he used, or a wish that he wished with the One Wish Willow. And occasionally she'll kind of snap out of it and be like horrified, almost like she just came to, and then she'll go back into it. So it's kind of clear that they're like talking about possession. And then the scene that he sneaks out to go see Sarah, she's talking to him as her real self while the I guess possessor version of her is sleeping. So you get a pretty clear explanation that, okay, yes, this is like a form of like two bodies or like another soul or entity kind of possessing her body. But she's like kind of witnessing it the whole time almost. So, okay, that made enough sense, I guess. They gave us enough of a context or enough of a explanation of that, I guess. But the other stuff I don't get. Like I said, the cat stuff especially I don't get. And even like the whole standing there and peeing on the floor and stuff I don't get. I could see if he had said like, I wish Nikki was crazy about me, or I wish she was madly in love with me. Something like that where it kind of hints at the craziness. But I want to say that he phrased it as, I wish Nikki loved me more than anything in the world, which that does not connect to her feeding him his own dead cat. But the ending, things escalate. She's killed his friends. She killed Sarah, banging her head on against the brick in the car till her face was gone. She shoots Ian in the head. He's dead. And throughout the movie, there's a couple times where people hint at basically the only way the wish ends is that you die. So they kind of foreshadowed that, okay, he's gonna have to die to get out of this crazy like magical wish or whatever. So he's fearing for his life at the hands of Nikki. He locks himself into the bathroom, opens up the medicine cabinet, and is like intentionally overdoses on these pills, or like takes a bunch of pills. Doesn't immediately overdose, but comes out of the bathroom and all of a sudden he's smiling, and him and Nikki like kind of start to kiss and sit on the couch, and then eventually the pills kick in. He overdoses and dies. We see that the reason that he was smiling is that she used the one wish willow, or one of the extra ones that he went and bought later on in the movie, and I guess wished for him to be in love with her. But then he died shortly after. She was about to kill herself, but then the real one came to, and that was the end of the movie. Yeah, it was pretty predictable. One other thing I didn't understand as far as plot holes. There's a scene where Baron is trying to cancel the wish, so he calls the number on the back of the box, and he's talking to somebody. Actually, it's played by the person on the phone. It's played by Curry Barker himself, the director, and he's talking to him. And the conversation didn't really make sense. Like, he didn't really explain what his wish was, but the guy on the phone seemed to know what he was talking about. I think he even knew the girl's name, knew Nikki's name. And then the guy on the phone says, "Do you want to talk to her?" And then Nikki's on the phone screaming. How was he with Nikki? Like, where did this happen at? Like, how was he with Nikki to even put her on the phone? That didn't make any sense. I didn't get that. So this movie has a good amount of plot holes between why certain things happen, outside of trying to be, I guess, entertaining or just wild and zany and stuff like that. Like, how did that even happen? How did Nikki know where Sarah and Baron were in the park when he met up with her as she was sleeping? Like, how did she find them? I don't know. And it's not really explained. Why did she not get admitted to the hospital? Like they show like a scene where it's one shot and the nurse like seemed like she refuses to accept Nikki into the hospital. Why did that happen? Why didn't anybody call the police at any point? Like, there were several times where like, okay, calling the police would have made sense in any real believable world, but that doesn't happen. So yeah, good amount of plot holes. It's entertaining enough. Like, Indy Navarrette's performance is so over the top at times that it's like, okay, that's entertaining enough. I guess I could see it being entertaining enough to like most people. I didn't find it as entertaining though. I thought it was somewhat lazy and let's just have her scream and smile for a real long time and just be real weird and move real weird. Like, I didn't find that, to be enough to really get me into the story like that. So I came out of this movie not really caring for it that much. Moving into rewatchability, I don't see myself rewatching this one. Like, it seemed, honestly, I feel like this movie would have been better as a short film because I feel like it's kind of a thin story. You get essentially, he has feelings that he can't muster up the courage to admit. He uses this thing that he thinks is the novelty gift. It turns out to be more magical and real than he realizes. He bites off more than he can chew. She's not only in love with him, but like crazy. Not even just crazy in love, but just crazy. And then you just get escalation. So you got premise and escalation, and that's it. So I feel like this would have better served as a short film. I think I wouldn't have seen it as negatively as I'm seeing it. But yeah, rewatchability wise, I don't think I'm gonna rewatch this one. It seemed somewhat straightforward. There are some things that could have gotten explained to make it a little bit more of a give it more depth, like the One Wish Willow, the origins of that, why it works, like it, the company that makes it or whatever. Like, that probably could have gave the movie some more depth, and it is a little bit of a longer movie, but I feel like there's certain stuff that still doesn't get explained. So So yeah, I came out of this one not really liking it very much, and it had at the time a 96% critic score and a 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've been hearing about it, and it was like number one, and it's been bringing in more at the box office as the weeks pass, which is not common. It's pretty rare. So I'm like, this has to be a good movie, and I go and this expectation aside, I understand expectation can cloud your judgment sometimes. But I don't think that's what's happening for me in this. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like people get entertained by things that may or may not be well written or like executed the best as far as like, cinematically or whatever. But this is, I did not feel like it lived up to the hype. I do think it was overhyped. And outside of expectation, I do think that it honestly was not that great of a movie. And the movie tries to be funny a lot, like a lot of the like long smiles and like the creepy stuff, or her like laughing way longer than anybody else. It's just like, and I am a hard laugh. It's hard to make me laugh out loud, but like I didn't find the stuff to be like as funny as they made it seem, or as funny as they gave it time to emphasize it in the movie. So as far as my score for Obsession, I'm going to have to give Obsession, I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10. Didn't really care for it that much, and I expected a lot more given the praise that it's been getting. Like I said, it's making more and more as the weeks go by in the box office. So people are liking it. I feel like there's too many plot holes. I don't think the comedy was like that funny. It was just and it was tropey. I feel like there was plenty of tropes, especially with the lighting stuff, the smiling as being creepy, stuff like that, like stuff that you've seen in a lot of other movies, probably done better in other movies. But for a directorial debut, I will say this is a decent movie. And I might check out, another one of his movies, whatever he does next, Curry Barker. Weird looking dude too, like red lips like Macaulay Culkin old school, like and this weird picture. How do you take a picture like this? Is this like an audition photo or like what? So yeah, 5.5 out of 10. Let me know what y'all think about this movie. Apparently a lot of people like it, so if you liked it, let me know. And what would you rate it 1 through 10? But with that, I thank you guys for watching another one of my movie reviews. My name is Deron Shields, and I'm out.